You are now listening to Out of the Blank.
Welcome to another episode of Out of the Blank podcast. I'm here with Joshua Littleton. So, Josh, what do you do professionally?
Well, right now, just manage the GNC in Ocean City, but teaching boxing at Rise and Parkinsons.
So, wait a minute, hold on. Let's narrow down the GNC thing real quick. That's a popular supplement company. So, do you enjoy doing that? Like, obviously, you kind of have the bodybuilding workout type, lifestyle, but
I'm good at it. I love the job. In the sense of when you can help somebody lose weight, gain weight, reach a goal, just anything I can do to help them get a little edge there. I do like that, but I get more satisfaction out of teaching like boxing and working with the Parkinsons to see them improve, because I think that's more direct, situation, like it happens right then and there, where somebody with the supplements, they come in, if they listen to my advice and everything, a lot of times I can get somebody a really good stack, and maybe a couple months later they're like, hey man, I've lost 20 pounds, or not, my bench went up, whatever. But it's a couple months down the road, and that's if I catch them coming back into the store to talk to me.
What do you see more benefits, just lifting weights, or do you see more benefits in boxing or doing a type of activity like that? Because, if you look at a lot of professional athletes like boxers and UFC fighters, they have to go through a severe amount of training, but not like you would see in the ordinary gym lifestyle. Like lifting weights like me would be a completely different mindset. Like I still don't know how to throw jabs and stuff. You can tell where there's functional strength and then there's aesthetic strength.
True. But there's such a benefit still to the weight training on top of the boxing. There's so many different ways to go about it, but there's a lot of fighters who don't incorporate weight training and resistance training to its fullest capability. They just do the calisthenics, they do a lot of boxing, sparring, and it's great. Cardiovascularly great. You're still going to have power in your punches, especially once you understand the mechanics of it. But I feel like in any sport, boxing, it could have been football, baseball, there's a reason why weight training can benefit it, because if you can just get stronger in your ranges of motion that you utilize, you can do so much more. You can hold off somebody maybe who's a little stronger in jiu-jitsu and you're a little weaker in that game. You might be able to hold them off for a little bit until maybe you can find more of an out. Now, sometimes they're going to get the leverage. Sometimes they're still going to get the position. It's going to happen, but you have a better chance. I think there's too many people who just box and do MMA and they don't take advantage of weight training. They just, do 100 push-ups and, 30 pull-ups or something and call it a day there. I'm just going to roll for 5 rounds and do 3 rounds of kickboxing. It's like, great, your cardio is great, but if you put a couple hours a week into that weight training, how much better your game be?
When did you get started in teaching boxing and stuff like that? And what age groups do you teach?
That just kind of happened. I didn't plan on it. It just kind of happened.
You were watching Rocky Balboa and then you decided hey.
Man, I could probably make sure. Nah, it just kind of happened. I kind of got away from fighting myself and was just needing a break. Like life got, didn't get really in the way, but there's a lot of things going on. And I didn't have time to really focus on that. And then the next thing you know, it was kind of like the door opened up. I was just training one day at the gym, and the manager at the gym was like, yo, you know how to hit a bag, like legit. And they get talking about backgrounds and things like that. And then next thing you know, they're like, hey, we need help running this class. Are you willing to help? Sure. Next thing you know, I'm helping. Next thing you know, they're like, hey, are you willing to get certified and work here? Yeah, sure. Let's do that. Boom, boom. And it just kind of, boom, domino effect. Just keeps going. Just one of those things. I'm just at the gym working out, and then the gym turns into a blessing added on to it. So.
Yeah, for me, I've worked out every single day, haven't missed a day for going on 7 years now. Now, my whole thing was, I started with that because I got bullied in high school. So I pulled that, body dysmorphia, those types of things where I basically push myself every single day. It doesn't matter if it's snowing. I'm that one guy on the road at 3 o'clock in the morning in my tiny green Kia driving down the road, and the giant trucks are like, this motherfucker's crazy. But I did it because I try to improve myself in a way that helped me relieve stress. And it seemed like lifting weights was the key. Now, for a lot of other people, it seems like hitting a bag or some type of punching bag, anything from a speed bag, any types of like, I guess, exertion of strength that way seems to be a big stress reliever. Do you see a lot of people coming in there just to relieve stress, even yourself when you're hitting a bag?
Sure, I mean, it's therapy. You can hit it as hard as you want. The bag, it's not going to hit back. You can let out a little bit of anxiety and all that. But I think if you're really challenged like that, where you need this more for stress, strike class is good, but I would say then definitely look up a good jiu-jitsu gym or something and learn to roll, because that's therapeutic in its own self. To be able to combat with someone who's about the even skill, or even if he's better, he's teaching.
It's a chess match.
Yeah, and you can really learn to grow and control your anger better that way. I think jiu-jitsu is really good for that platform, like controlling people's angers and anxieties, because they can get very spiritual into that. But striking, I think, if you just hit in a bag once in a while, it's not really going to satisfy that anger and anxiety. It will kind of give you a temporary release, but I don't think it gives you a permanent release, because you get kind of built up from it. You're hitting this bag, you're crushing it, and then
And also,
just like,
do you think it feels like it's like you're not hitting an actual like person?
you're not. Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem, is it can give a person who doesn't control this issue or really have an outlet, it can give a person a false sense of security. And the next thing you know, they're out in the real world and their anxiety's getting to them, and somebody does something, they get angry and they get into a fight, and either they do hurt someone or they get themselves hurt. And I think a lot of people who do just strike classes, you can't spar with them all the time because they're not real fighters. They don't want to fight. So they don't want to spar very often. It's very once in a while. But they'll hit the mitts, they'll hit the gloves, they'll hit everything. And that's not really a true release for that kind of platform. You need more physical interaction, and that's where strike class, that's where it's going to lack. Now, if I get somebody who comes in and they're like, I want to fight, and we're working on that actual skill, that legitimate skill, that's different, because now they can spar every day, and they're going to always have that release, and they're going to have a better sense of control out in the real world, because it gives you respect looking at others. Like, I know what I can do. This person who's causing an issue, it's not going to irritate me because I know what I could do to them. But the person who just gets false hope through the pads and the mitt work, they get all, oh, I want to show this guy what I can do. I want to show them who I am. And that's that issue that I don't think strike class provides. That's where you need jiu-jitsu.
Well, if anybody, like if you go to a bar or something and you see the one guy that's trying to fight everybody, we all know that what that guy, stereotypical person looks like, tank top, snapback, something on, like, hey, bro, you want to fight? I know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Half the time, that person does not actually know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's more likely the silent guy in the corner who doesn't try and start anything and usually lets it all pile up, like, getting yelled at, cussed at, spit on, all this stuff. And then at one point, he's like, all right, I'm about to knock your ass out. And then he does like a dragonfly kick and hits you right in the mouth. But
the funny one isn't the one who claims jiu-jitsu. It's always the funny one who like gets talking to you and then somehow brings up the subject of Muay Thai. And they're like, oh, yeah, I'm a black belt Muay Thai. And you're over here like, oh, yeah, really? Okay. And you don't know, the inside part of that joke is there's no belt system in Muay Thai. But that's the one I've probably heard at least 3 times. Somebody saying, yeah, I'm a black belt in Muay Thai. And I'm immediately going, oh, okay, sure.
I took Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for, a brief amount of time. It was only a couple months. And, I was on my white belt, and I was like, man, I leveled up faster in karate. And then he's like, this is an actual belt system. Like, we don't, it takes a long time to actually
4
go
years
up in
at
rank.
least. 4 years at least, and that's if you're in it. It'd probably take a normal person 6-7 years, maybe more.
Like if someone tells you they went to a Gracie school and they got a legit black belt, that's someone you don't want to mess with. That's someone you want in the zombie apocalypse.
I think if somebody says that, I should recognize them pretty quickly. But
don't you get kind of like for me, I always got a lot of adrenaline and kind of got nervous when a fight scenario would pop up. But then when you're dealing with like a wrestling match, I look at it like I was saying, a chess match. So really, I think it helps you problem solve better. It gives you better tools to help, I guess, survive in the outside world.
It's adversity. It's one-on-one adversity. It's just constant adversity with someone else. If you can overcome person, even if you lose the match, but there was points that you overcame it, That's adversity you overcame. And then even if you've lost, you still learn something from that. And that physical struggle, that's what people are lacking today. That's why they can't get any movement and everybody wants an easy path. Give me free this, give me free that. Let's go down this easier road. Nobody ever takes on any kind of real struggle anymore. Everybody's scared of struggle, scared of anything difficult.
Well, I think that's because they feel like they usually get a shit hand of the cards, like God dealt them a shitty hand, or whatever you want to say with the
victim
concept.
mentality, straight up victim mentality.
Yeah, I mean,
everybody's a victim.
Bruce Lee had one of my all-time favorite quotes: "God gave you this road because you were strong enough to walk it." I mean, that's a master fighter right there. I mean, I don't know how many times I've seen Enter the Dragon, but just the whole mentality. First of all, karate, anything of that sort, any type of like physical training that requires like, technique and all these types of things like balance, whatever you want to call it, it all takes a really, I guess, a rigorous amount of like required patience too, because it's just like any other craft. You have to take the time to learn it, and you actually have to give it 100% of whatever you do. You can't half-ass anything. And I think a main problem that I do have with a little bit of the world today is that everybody's so willing to half-ass everything. Nobody wants to go full in. They want to go like, what's the fastest way to get to this? What's the fastest way to get to that? There is no fast way. There is no shortcuts when it comes to mixed martial arts or anything of that sort. You have to focus and kind of take every single step. You can't jump, cut corners, do whatever you want. Do not pass go, collect $200, all that stuff, Monopoly, whatever. You can't do that. You have to take the long training, and it's gonna take a while. I mean, one of my favorite scenes, Kill Bill, where she's freaking doing all that karate stuff, and then she's like all like, you can see her whole
the Hollywood stuff,
yeah, but still, you can see the whole like training method breaking her down, literally recreating a whole new person, where she was like basically from the start like created in this terrible way, and then karate's like, look, I'm gonna humble you real quick, and then decided to break her and then build her back up in a more sustainable way. I think a lot of people definitely need a type of craft of that sort, and I'm not talking about, karate's fun and all. I remember they had the broken boards for you. You hit it and it breaks. Oh my God, I'm so strong. And then you go and do that with a real piece of wood, and you're like, ow.
It was good to teach, though, for a kid. Teach them they can accomplish something that they thought was low.
It builds up confidence. Yeah. But at the same time, if that kid stays in there until he's 26, and then he's the guy at the bar that's saying, I think
that comes down to the art, the practice of the art. Like, unless, and I don't want to disrespect anybody with this, but unless you're a master of, like, let's say Taekwondo, but even then, if you haven't applied it in a certain type of way, I don't feel even a black belt in Taekwondo is capable of truly defending themselves out there in society against even just a normal average Joe who's just coming at you, than someone who's, practiced boxing or kickboxing, Muay Thai, because that's more practical application. And I don't mean that as disrespect to an actual Taekwondo black belt out there going, well, wait a minute. Are you saying I can't fight? I'm not saying that. You might be able to, because maybe you've actually had an opportunity to apply your style. But most people who just learn Taekwondo, in an actual confrontation, yeah. They don't, stuff doesn't work. It doesn't work in that situation.
It's not even just with Taekwondo, though, either. Any type of mixed martial arts. You can be a master in the craft. Who's to say that person doesn't have a gun and just decides to shoot you?
Oh, we used to taught this self-defense class. It was always the funniest thing. Yeah.
Was it like Napoleon Dynamite? He goes, all right, grab my wrist. Boom,
no. But we would just, we would ask the class to bring up scenarios. And one of the scenarios was, okay, somebody's holding you up. They're going to take, your wallet. And I said, well, how's the situation? And the whole class plays it out. Oh, he has a gun. Okay, he has a gun. Where's he at? All right, he's this close to you. He's like right up on you, gun touching your face. I said, if you felt confident, you show a couple techniques to break the wrist and disarm the gun. But everybody was like, okay, well, what if he's got the gun and he's 10 feet from you? I pulled my wallet out of my pocket and threw it on the ground and said, here, please don't kill me. What do you think I'm going to do? Yeah, catch the ball with my teeth?
Half of those scenarios are such horse shit. Like, you got this person, I'm coming at you with a knife like this. Like, when is he ever stabbing in a downwards motion? Like, the blades, like, pointed down. He's got it, like...
Oh, yeah, because everybody's Mike Myers.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, when is that ever happening? And then they're like, what happens if they're coming at you like this and they go and thrust a knife forward? Okay, that's a real scenario. But at that point, like, how did you let them get that close in the first place? Are you wandering in a dark alley and you're just so trustful? Like, hey, this is guy
it's
coming
it's
up to
weird
me.
situation to have any of that happen to you.
You know Joey Diaz, one of the famous comedians.
I think I'm familiar with.
He's been on Joe Rogan a couple of
Yeah.
times, but he actually has these these videos called Joey Karate. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but
I've seen one or two.
This is back when he's like 300 pounds.
Yeah.
And he's literally like smoking weed, and he's like, "I'm about to show you how to kick somebody's ass." And then he's going and like he's trying to lift his leg up, and he can't get his leg up like above your knee, basically. And he's like trying to kick you in the face like that, and then like people are just tackling him and slamming to the ground. He goes, "You don't know what that is? That's called respect, motherfucker." And like he's literally making these hilarious videos, but like I can't tell if he's being serious because he was pretty doped up, but at the same time, it highlights the whole aspect that anybody can do karate. He mentions so many times, or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, whatever you want to call it. He mentions so many times that he's overweight. And he sees it as a sense of relaxation. He uses that to his advantage. He tries to put his weight on the person. He tries to, there's different ways. I've rolled with, I've 20 people probably total out of the couple of months I did it. It was usually, we had a small class, same kind of people. But there's a bigger dude, there's like 300 something pounds. He would just lay on top of you and then just lay there until you basically gave up. Like he would try and use his weight to his advantage.
That class sounded pretty crappy.
Well, then there were obviously other people, like me and my brother were in it, okay? And actually, at one point, me and my brother were rolling, and we literally were going all around the gym. Like, everybody was trying to roll around us, and no, we were going all around it, like, slamming each other up against the walls, like how brothers would do. And then, like, the coach is like, just let them go. Like, they don't know a whole lot, so, like, they're new, so let them roll. Let them get their anger out towards each other. Next thing you know, everybody's just standing up against the wall watching us, and we're literally just rolling around the gym, tackling each other, trying to do the couple moves we learned that day on each other, and just trying to find ways to overcome the other person. And it's really, when you see a passion, or first of all, you're just pissed off at the person, it's like you can really get into it. And it's something that is definitely afterwards, you're like, I feel so much better. It's definitely a giant sign of relief. And I think anybody saying, oh, I don't have the body for that, I don't have the time for that, you do have the time for that. You just got to make it. You got to find it something you want to get interest.
Russell Brand just got his blue belt.
Russell Brand
the
just
English
got his blue belt.
The English comedian,
actor,
goodness. Just got his blue belt. Like, it happened just a few weeks ago.
That's scary.
Yeah, and he's been doing it now. I mean, he's trying to clean up his life. But do you take him as a physically intimidating person in anything he ever played?
I still remember him from bedtime stories where he says he has night terrors and he's in the middle of like this room and just starts screaming.
Yeah, he's just a comedian. He's not physically intimidating, but now he's got his blue belt. He's been practicing long enough. Look at Keanu Reeves at his age. I mean, he's 54, 55 now. He's a purple belt. He's climbing the ladder and he's making movies at the same time. Well, that's
Neo, bro.
Yeah, but that was
John Wick.
That was what did he call it back then? Hollywood Kung Fu or something, where it's like looks like a lot of blocks. He didn't really know anything real. Now
the best karate person was Chris Farley.
Well, yeah,
you ever seen him in that karate movie?
What was the movie called?
White Ninja. That was a funny movie.
Yeah.
See, no, if you ever seen Joe Rogan kickbox?
Oh, of course.
Dude. You want to talk about someone that can kill somebody with
that man's legs are serious. Well, he used to fight. He used to fight in the late 80s.
There's a video of him while like 20 years old. He just comes in the ring. He literally just ate, he said, like a giant thing of Sour Patch Kids and kicks some dude right in the head and knocks him completely out with just one kick. And I'm like, there's these people, like, if you take any time into actually trying to be the best at something, there's nothing that's going to stop you from becoming it. I think a lot of people fall short of that because a lot of people think, oh, there's always going to be someone better out there. Okay, then that should make you train harder to become better.
Yeah, but you're bringing up Joe Rogan's kicks. That's a special kind of kick there.
That's
kicks. He taught GSP how to throw a better spinning side kick.
Okay, he is a little bit scary himself.
If you don't know who GSP is, that's the GOAT of the welterweight division for years. And he went to Joe Rogan for advice. Like, wow.
You know what fascinates me is that Eddie Bravo. He's a major black belt and teaches so much of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and mixed martial arts, and he's a flat earther.
Yeah, he's a flat earther, but he believes in all kinds of conspiracies. He's into that. He's into the UFOs are at Area 51.
Are you saying Area 51 does not exist? Or do you think they train people to get Joe Rogan's kicks? Those are the next super soldiers, bro. Have you seen the Storm Area 51 thing that's going on right now?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Dude, that's dangerous, man. That's 660,000 people, I think, signed up.
Is there that many Kyles in the United States?
It's not just Kyle. Man. I think it went on to Joe's and Jeff's.
It's Kyle's, Joe's, Jess, probably every Cameron you can think of.
Dude, I'm telling you, I see. Then Bob Lazar, the guy that exposed.
They're just all going to be hyped up monsters and just storm the fence. I mean,
they're going to be ninja running.
Oh man, it's going to be real.
It's funny because my buddy's in the military. He's like, they're actually prepping like the military people to deal with these people. I'm like, you understand the one person that went to Area 51 that went on there and like he got shot.
Have you seen the memes though recently saying don't bother? They're moving all the cool stuff, and you see a truck with like a spaceship, looks like a spaceship on the back, and you almost got to go like, what really is that? Like what is that?
See, what Area 51 is a training facility. So there's no alien stuff in Area 51. Bob Lazar, the guy that exposed all this in the S4 hangar where the real alien technology was.
I think it's a bunch of clones of Alex Jones.
Why do you think it's a bunch of clones of Alex Jones? We don't need any more guys going around spouting that the frogs are getting turned gay by crops. Because
he's so much of a thorn in the Democratic left side, and they've probably tried to kill him so many times that it's really not even him anymore. It's just clones of Alex Jones.
I think Elon Musk might have probably cloned Alex Jones like a bunch of times.
Yeah, we're actually on probably like clone model 147 or something.
But if you look up half the stuff Alex Jones says, it's not horse shit.
No, it's not. He actually talks about a lot of real good stuff. He
talks about the Jedi Project. He's just freaking Maryland.
He's so over the top and so crazy.
No, he just funnels.
He does have his crazy ones though.
Oh no, yeah. The frogs getting turned gay. That's crazy.
Well, that and what is the other one where lizards? Certain people are lizards.
Like I said, for every beautiful idea, there is a very crappy side cousin.
I think that's Alex's Jones ploy. You know, just like I'm gonna come up with a bunch of the really good stuff that's legit, but I'm also gonna shoot it over the top.
Well, he has to act so outlandish so people see him as ridiculous and go into half the stuff he says. Yeah. That's why he has to shout and scream and get so passionate about things. He's right on a lot of stuff. Like, you ever seen the movie Men Who Stare at Goats?
Yes, I have.
Clooney. Did you watch it finally?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that is here in Maryland. That happened here. They were creating psychological warriors. Like, what? Like, we're using remote viewing and all these other types of weird things. And there's Project Sunshine. All this stuff, if you just look up, Alex Jones said it. I mean, it's true. It's just the way he says it. It's like, I can't stop staring at how red his face is getting because he's screaming so hard. Like, he can't even understand. And with the Sandy Hook shooting one where he says they were all crisis actors, there was a guy that was in the Sandy Hook aftermath video that was in another, like, terrorist attacks, or not terrorist attacks, school shootings 6 months later.
Some of that stuff is starting to, when you first hear it back then, you go, oh, wow, this guy's so over the top. But there's been a lot of it's lined up. And go, wow, he was on to something.
And, you know, it freaks me out because we looked at so many people throughout history that have had these ridiculous ideas and seen as idiots or something like that. And then you look and they're actually right. Like Galileo, for example. You know, he's the one that exposed that the Earth does not revolve around, or no, the sun doesn't revolve around the Earth, but the Earth revolves around the sun. And the church locked him in the house in 1615, and he died there on house arrest. And then finally it's like, oh shit, he was right. You know what I mean? Who's to say the Earth is not flat? Who's to say if I walk 6,000 miles that way, I'm falling?
Who was it? Somebody just started a thing trying to raise tickets so they can sail to the end of the flat Earth or something.
Yeah, that's what Alex Jones was yelling at Eddie Bravo and in that one podcast.
Yeah,
like 4 hours freaking long.
He said he would pay for it. He says, I have plenty of money, I'll pay for it. Trying to sell one.
Don't worry about the money. I got the money.
Yeah, I got the money. I'll send you.
Would you ever travel to go see if there was the end of the Earth?
I don't think there is an end of the Earth. I do believe it's a globe. I do believe there's a space. You know.
What about that global warming is a myth?
No, I don't believe in that at all because they've changed the name of it 4 or 5 times.
You don't believe in global warming?
No, I don't.
You look at me in the eyes right now and tell me you don't believe in global warming? I don't believe in global warming. This was the hottest June ever in recorded history.
Okay, so there, last month was hot too. So what's up?
It's getting hotter though.
Yeah, it's cold right now. It's cooler out today. It's just called a heat wave. Goes right away. That heat wave fell on a different week.
I can't tell if she's even taking you seriously. She's smiling in the corner like this guy doesn't believe in global warming.
Nah, because listen, there's more ice actually in Antarctica. They've proven that by when they dig for the cores, they've proven that there's actually more ice in Antarctica and the North Pole than what there was 50 years ago. I just don't believe in like the polar ice caps melting and things like that.
Information.
I
saw a
believe.
polar bear on fire. How many times do you see the Slurpee or the icy thing anymore? Do you see the polar bear riding that surfboard anymore? I don't. They took them off. They said, this is getting too sensitive. We don't have many polar bears left. We can't have them in a sweat jacket drinking a Slurpee. It's just not good for his health. We're doing so many things environmentally. Now, the weird thing is I podcast.
No, I still think do things for the environment is good. Don't get it wrong. I believe that. Don't litter. Don't do those things.
Don't throw those plastic rings
There's
away
no
in the
need for
ocean.
that. But like the overreacting of some of the things I don't agree with. Like, for instance, the straws with the turtles and everything. I mean, come on, people.
Did you see that video of that straw and that turtle?
Okay, it's one turtle, but everybody kind of, banning straws. That was a little aggressive.
No, I think maybe making them biodegradable, or just don't be an asshole and throw them in the water.
Well, they're going to get thrown, stuff's going to get thrown in the water, but don't take my straw from me because a turtle had a straw in it once. I just think that's overreacting.
It's probably happened more than once, but I think that video got pretty popular because of how long it took that guy to pull that straw out of that.
But there's
turtle.
bigger issues in the world that we can deal with.
What
first.
other bigger issues do you think?
Oh my God, we could just start off with just the homeless in this country,
That, first of all, homelessness shouldn't be even a thing because we have
shouldn't.
so many
No, it
available
shouldn't.
homes for them to stay in.
It shouldn't.
Who's to say that let's give him $300 a week and he has to get a job by a certain date and make up a sustainable living to where he can live by himself, and then just give him a home just to live in. Starvation shouldn't be a thing either, because you're telling me all the food that we throw out when it expires on that day, you're telling me the store can throw it in the trash can, legally not allowed to sell it to you. They literally watch you jump in the trash can and take it out. Like, he's going to go in there in 5 minutes and take it out once you walk away. So why don't you just give it to him to save him his dignity? But it's the whole fact that we're willing to make the other person suffer just to get our point across.
Yeah. But that comes down to taking care of our own first. And to do that, we have to protect. I mean, we get into a bigger subject. That's why it's always such a dramatic thing. Because to do that, now we're bringing up border security. And we're talking about illegal immigration. Because if there's less of them here, it's more money for us to be able to do those things to take care of ourselves within ourselves. But allowing that in causes a financial burden on us, and we can't do that. Now, that's where the argument ensues. You have one side, hey, no, let them all in. I have a good life. They could have a good life. And they really mean well with that, but it's wrong. Because over here, we know it's wrong because we have our own people struggling right now, and if we can stop that part, the illegals, we can take care of our own people. And once we get everything balanced, everybody is happy, everyone has food, then we spread that wealth out further. And that's really what the argument's about.
Do you think the problem with immigration is just because people don't want to be the minority, like white people don't want to be the minority?
No, I think race like that doesn't matter at all. No,
I know you don't, but I'm saying, do you think why most people are...
I think there's people who do believe it. I think there's people on both sides that actually believe it. I think there's alt-right people, very aggressive right-wing people, that have that Nazi mindset that believe no, we can't allow that because they'll become the dominant race and they'll lose their white supremacy in their minds. Those people are delusional nut jobs. But then you have the ones over here on the left. They're not much better. They're over here screaming one thing, even though every narrative, in fact, proves an otherwise. You got the hippies who just think, oh, the whole world is this way, and I don't know why they have this victim mentality. So they got their issues too. And then you have everybody who's normal in the middle, just like, what the heck's going on here? Everybody's just mad at each other.
You know what I think happened? I think that they started handing out too many participation trophies.
Oh yeah, that was a bad move there. But also,
we took out winning. Like, what are you talking about? Like, there's an obvious winner in a sport game. Like, you're telling me my little cousin
we're just starting to hit
soccer,
the cusp of the iceberg here. Just the tip of it. The tip of the iceberg.
Sensitive net.
Oh, let me tell you, this thing's going to get way worse because if you see the things going on right now with children right now, I mean, there's actual memes, actual posts from left-wing people saying Republicans actually want to outlaw children drag shows. And they're serious, like saying that in that quote, and I'm
there
like,
are children drag shows?
Oh yeah, they're little boys. They dress up little boys like girls and have them do a drag striptease show in front of grown adults for money. And the left-wing people have actually put up posts saying the Republicans want to take away this ability and make it an outlaw. Like that's a bad thing. And I'm over here going, I didn't know this was a right or a left thing. I thought this was a common sense thing. Like we should not be exploiting children as a sexual target. You know, we're talking about 9-year-olds in here, but this is an actual thing. And think about these 9-year-olds that this is happening to right now. You have this gender fluid society claiming all these genders. You're doing this to little boys. You're going to create a higher suicidal rate. You're going to create a higher mental health rate. It's going to get way worse. That's what I meant by tip of the iceberg. The participation trophies, this generation is just the tip of the iceberg. The kids, the way they're doing them right now, oh boy, it's going to be worse in about 15 years. We're going to deal with some wackos.
I think it's all an attention-seeking ploy, because if you look, like, I've talked to someone who is transgender. Now, she knew that from birth when she was looking in the mirror, and she's now been taking male testosterone for 8 months now. But she looked in the mirror and didn't like what she saw. She didn't like, her body and everything from her boobs to whatever, all feminine things. Now, that's someone that was literally legit born in the wrong skin. She's way more, or he is way more comfortable now, and I can tell that. What scares me is the children that are at such a young age. I think, like, he waited until he was at an older age to decide to make these choices to change his body. Like,
how old?
He's about 24. So around, I guess, started 8
Oh,
months ago,
misgender
so
now. In
23.
California, you go to jail for that.
Yeah, well, I'm trying my hardest. Even when he was on the podcast, it was hard for me because I was trying to go he, she, back and forth. But the whole thing is, he was at above 21 years old to make his own decision for that. Now, I believe you should be at a right age,
Okay,
maybe
so
16 or 17. You can't tell me that a 3-year-old that decides, I want to wear pink shoes. And
so
then
I agree with you, but I also think that the 21-year-old decision was better than even being 16 or 17. Your brain's not even done growing until you're 25. That's why you're still finding yourself.
Exactly. I wasn't saying that was a more appropriate age. I'm just saying I think you should be a little bit more cognizant on what's going on around you.
My whole issue with this is just this assumption that a child
can already
has to identify its own gender at one point. That's bull. That's straight up bull. And what we're doing is keep those type of decisions away from children. Children have enough things to figure out. They're learning how to talk. They don't even know how to express themselves.
Well, there's so many articles coming out in the news about parents that are signing their 6-year-old up to get gender transformation.
Yeah, and see, that's that generation there, that adult generation there. That's part of the problem there too. But they're going to make it worse for their children. It's
they
just
feel
a
like
domino effect.
There's two sides to that. I guess one's like, I want to be a very supportive parent. Not make sure that if that's what he wants, and he's gonna turn into a girl.
Yeah, you can be a supportive parent, but you also got to understand parent-child relationship is not. It's not a democracy. It's a dictatorship. You're in charge.
When I was 6 years old, 1 minute I wanted Lucky Charms. The other time I wanted a banana that I smashed on the ground with my foot. Like, I didn't know what I wanted. Okay, I didn't know if I wanted to color.
Exactly.
I didn't know if I wanted to go take a nap.
Exactly.
Your moods change like that. That's why you have to be at a reasonable age.
Your hormones are all through the roof. You don't know what's going on. You just know, look, my son right now, he knows when he needs to use the bathroom. He knows when he's hungry, and he knows when he's bored. That's it. That's all he knows.
That's the only thing you need.
He doesn't even know when he's sleepy because I have to tell him that.
That's what life is. You don't want to be told it's nap time, but you know what? You have to take a nap or you're going to feel like shit the next day.
Yeah.
I still don't even know when to take a nap. Half the time I barely sleep. But at the same time, when you look at all the stuff we're dealing with right now with the world, first of all, just being ridiculous. We're being way too sensitive. I think, like you were saying, there's bigger problems at hand, which actually leads into one of the things you told me about recently, about with the cannabis and the people with Parkinsons.
Oh, yes.
So let's get into that. First of all, explain to me what that is, because I have no idea. All I know is there's pot and then there's Parkinsons. So
basically Parkinson's, to sum it up, is a disease that prevents your body from creating its own dopamine anymore.
Okay.
So it's a lack thereof dopamine created in your brain. Okay, so we secrete this at a certain rate regardless, and obviously anyone knows certain things stimulate dopamine creation: drug usage, alcohol usage, a happy day, like seeing something extremely funny. Extreme exercise,
the cat playing piano on Facebook,
whatever that pleasures your mind creates that dopamine.
I've watched that video 1,000
Okay,
times.
so Parkinson's stops the body from creating it naturally. So you have to work twice as hard, 3 times as hard to create any kind of dopamine. You have to reach that stage of extreme exercise or extreme laughter or extreme. It can't just be a little cat on piano that just gets a little smile out of you. That's not enough anymore. It has to be extreme to get that dopamine creation. So my issue is, and I see the improvement through extreme exercise with Parkinson's people. I see it. Well, we know that marijuana creates dopamine. And this is by far the least harmful drug, if you even want to call it a drug. It's a plant. It just happens to have some side effects if you set it on fire. But why not give it to them?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's so many. Well, I think it's the whole money industry thing. The same thing why a doctor's a doctor is more willing to write a prescription to you for some type of drug that has an undercover meth name than someone actually going and buying meth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also with cannabis, like that's been used throughout history. I mean, Benjamin Franklin had a giant hemp farm. Now, hemp might be a little bit different from cannabis, but at the same time, we only have it outlawed because it's seen as a, what is it?
I think it's a cheap drug, and they can't make as much money off that.
It's in the same category as heroin, and that's not true.
Oh no, it's so far from that. I mean, heroin is degenerative, really, over time.
But they label it in the same category as heroin.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm pretty sure you can't die from smoking pot. They say it's like
well,
15
think about it. Think about it as a
something.
government. They can't tax it correctly. If you tax it and you make it all legal and you say, okay, we're going to put a tax on it and this is the price of it, well, you can't get too expensive because everybody knows how to grow this. Okay, so we all will just make our own eventually, you know.
That's why it's becoming more legal in states now. Like,
exactly.
They're
So
also implementing medical marijuana vending machines.
They're
now.
just fighting it slowly, trying to prevent it from happening slowly, so they can still get as much money out of you through the narcotics they presently make.
Same thing they say with the theory that they have the cure to cancer, but they just don't want to get rid of it.
They very well may. They may have the cure to AIDS and numerous other diseases. They probably do have the cure to a couple cancers. I mean, each one's a little different. I know there's a different way to approach it, clearly, but
so where does it show the relief in Parkinson's, though? Besides just creating that dopamine?
By creating the dopamine, the trembles and the shakes.
Now, that's a common symptom with Parkinson's?
Very, very common.
Why do they get shakes if it's just the dopamine, that they're not getting dopamine?
It's just a kind of a side effect from that dopamine not being created, so the body has a side effect reaction and the tremble starts to form. And the longer into the disease, the worse that tremble can be. At first, it can be just a very mild shake, and then it gets into more of a really hard shake, like as if you were trying to wave.
It's that Family Guy episode with where they had what's his name? Michael J. Fox on there, and he was walking over with the tray and he's shaking all over the place. And like, oh come on! He's putting wine on Peter's white shirt.
They make some fun of that.
It was terrible, but it was pretty funny. But I mean,
it was funny, but they make some good fun of that, man. But I mean, it gets worse and worse. They rated it like PD 1 through 5, 5 being the worst, 1 being the least. And I've seen through exercise people that are PD 3, which is you're pretty much halfway there. You're getting pretty bad, and they've regressed and almost gone back to a full PD 2. So their disease symptoms are far less just from intense exercise.
You got to explain the stages here because I'm completely out.
Okay, so
there's 5 stages?
There's basically 5 stages. PD1 is diagnosis, hardly any symptoms, if any. There might be a very light hand tremor.
Is that all it is? Is just hand tremors?
No. It gets worse.
Okay.
So stage 2, now the hand tremors are very noticeable. You have to hide your hands if you don't want people to see your hands shaking. You're losing mobility because you become very tight. You can't stretch your arms out.
I've caught people who have second stage Parkinson's from when they're holding their wrists when their arms are crossed, and you can tell their hands still shake, and it kind of is like a rocking motion a little bit.
PD3 affects the movement in the legs. Now they're not taking full strides anymore. It's called a shuffling gait, where they're kind of just shuffling their legs, and sometimes they can lock up and just stand there, and they're trying to tell themselves to move, but they can't move, and then maybe a minute later they'll move. So that's kind of scary when you first see it, because it's wow, I can tell he wants to move and he cannot move.
Imagine that happening when you're like on a train track or something.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, standby.
Yeah, stuck in fear or something. PD4 is a lot more of that. A lot of times they will struggle to stand for long periods of time. They can't keep their balance. They lose the ability to walk backwards. They lose the ability to talk loudly. So we do drills where they yell out their punches to help speak up. PD5 is that's pretty much the end stage and everything where it's hard to get any kind of mobility. They might be wheelchair bound, just trying to get any kind of movement, keep them moving.
Does it ever kill anybody?
It's degenerative, so it gives them dementia too. So eventually, yeah.
I've had some family members that lost to dementia. It's not a fun thing.
So it just deteriorates the person. There's no cure to it right now, but basically what we've discovered is through intense exercise, or there has been a lot of evidence showing that use of marijuana will slow down the progression of the disease and limit the dangers and symptoms of the disease to such a degree that they almost live a normal life for longer periods. So like you get somebody, let's say he's diagnosed, so let's just say for easy math, he's 50 years old. And you could be diagnosed younger. He's 50, never does anything to help himself with the disease.
There's a 13-year-old girl that has Parkinson's disease.
So he's 50 years old, gets diagnosed, doesn't do anything to help himself. There's a very strong chance he's probably going to be gone by the time he's 60. But same person, 50 years old, but he goes right into intense exercise that day, starts training, starts exercising all the time. Let's say his state lets him use marijuana, they put himself at ease at night and everything and help the symptoms there. He might live to 100, and he might still have some sense of mobility. We're just in the early stages of combating the disease, and this stuff is already showing the progression to slow its progression as it is.
Well, much as we have a fascination with space, we still don't understand half of or more than half of what's in the sea, and we don't even understand the closest thing to us, which is our brain. I mean, there's so many things. There's people that can hit their head in a certain way. Next thing you know, they have foreign accent syndrome. I don't know if you ever heard of that. There's a British woman. She speaks Chinese, like in a foreign accent of Chinese. She doesn't know how he did it. It just happened.
What did they say we use? 10%, something like that, 15%.
They say that's fake. I'm like, but there's a large amount of it that we don't understand. Why is it that if I hit the back of my head in a certain way really, really hard, like if I just fall back and hit my head, I can go blind?
Well, we still haven't discovered most of our own planet, too. Most of the ocean's undiscovered. I mean,
75% of the ocean is undiscovered.
The point is, there's a lot to do in this world. I'm not trying to do it all. I've got enough on my plate.
Well, how'd you get started into the research aspect of cannabis and Parkinson's, though? And first of all,
I kind of stumbled upon the cannabis part of it. I do believe, or not to get down a different rabbit hole here, but I do believe that when you put certain subject matters into your phone, like you're just curious about something because you're getting into Parkinson's, so you start researching Parkinson's on your phone. I do believe that your phone copies that algorithm and then starts spitting back things that may interest you. And I think that's what happened.
That's called that's Google imprinting. Google does that a lot too. Like they even listen into your conversations, I think, sometimes too, because you're mentioning something about a Toyota truck, and next thing you know, you're getting an advertisement for car companies. Like, excuse me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I like I said, I didn't want to get down that kind of rabbit hole, but that's basically what happened. I think I was just doing that, and then issues of that came across. I then went down that rabbit hole, and saw so many positive reinforcements that cannabis helped people with Parkinson's and kill.
But how did you start doing this? Like, you didn't just roll up to a retirement home and start giving elderly people marijuana, did you?
No. I didn't personally do this. I've just seen evidence of it, like videos. I haven't done anything.
Oh, so you haven't done any clinical research?
No,
yourself?
not myself. No, I'm not trying to. I'm just saying I've seen more than a good share of evidence out there that cannabis can help.
I was wondering, I was like, is he working in a lab where they're testing people, or is he working?
No.
Is he just that guy that goes and starts selling drugs, happy stuff to all the senior citizens? Where's the man in the glasses that rolls up with my marijuana?
That would be something else.
I can't eat soup without that cannabis.
I think that type of drug dealer would be passing them off at your local McDonald's because they'd all be there getting their senior coffees.
Oh.
Get that free coffee.
Nothing better than a Taco Bell at 2 o'clock in the morning, especially when you're stoned.
What was it? I just heard not long ago they said Taco Bell has fries, Burger King has tacos, and KFC's putting something like Cheetos on their chicken. Like, why did we legalize marijuana?
Dude, I'm telling you, it's going to start spreading everywhere. Like, first of all, I've podcasted with a couple cops on my podcast. They've all said what they do at 2:00 in the morning down here is they sit by the Taco Bell because it's the only thing. You don't have a drive-thru that's open until 4 in the morning and expect somebody who's not drunk. I mean, what do you want when you're drunk? You want a taco or you want some greasy ass food. Yeah. Also,
unless you're getting off work.
Yeah. Well, the two spots he said he would sit would be Taco Bell or he'd sit at Wawa because you either want a greasy ass sub when Taco Bell's not open, but most of the time you want to go kill a taco. You want the nastiest thing possible. So I think the problem is, have you ever seen the movie Pineapple Express?
Yes. Okay,
you know the part where they're testing the subject and the guy goes, "How does this marijuana make you feel?" He goes,
yeah.
He's like, "What do you think of your superiors?" And he's like, "Fuck you." He's like, "Why are we underground right now? Why aren't we out going and doing shit?" And he's like, I think as soon as he started questioning the government is when marijuana was looked at in a bad way. Like, oh, it's going to bring up too many things. Because most of the time, if you've ever smoked pot, you basically start questioning everything around you. Not only like, what is life? Like, am I doing everything in my life okay? But at the same time, you're like...
Yeah, but you always get that one guy that questions everything really stupidly. You know, if you're in a crew of like 3 or 4 guys, and the one guy always kind of looks over and goes, "That picture is awfully swirly, bro." And you're like, "What road are you on, man?" Like,
that's probably me in the group because I honestly think about it. And that also brings up the point of the crazy guy on the bus. You don't know if you're the crazy guy on the bus when everybody's looking.
Yeah, and sometimes
why
you
can't
are.
I find him?
You know, maybe you're not all the time, but sometimes you are the crazy guy.
I mean, sometimes you gotta question things like the simple shit. Like, why are we in a house right now? Like, why aren't we out enjoying the world and like living off the land? Like, there's stuff you ask yourself, and the reason why is because a lot of what is in our everyday lives that we're completely oblivious to is kind of ridiculous in some notions. A lot of like, why are we wearing clothes right now? Like, why is that a thing? Is it to cover up what? Like, we started with leaves.
Have you ever seen the Joe Rogan stand-ups?
I have seen them all.
Oh yeah, you know he talks about the nipple, the dirty piece of skin, the nipple. Oh, don't show that. Oh, how dare you! He just gets all into it. It's hilarious.
I think if we start narrowing down simple stuff like that, like no shirt, no shoes, and no service, sir.
A friend of mine just went in on during that heat wave. He real quick went into it was a fast food joint and they wouldn't serve him because he didn't have a shirt on. And
that's when you just start stripping naked and start. You said he went into a fast food joint.
Yeah, he went in there real quick because he was trying to get some food and it was during the heat wave and he didn't have a shirt on and they told him they wouldn't serve him.
Once you saw, I mean, I just think there's a lot of other things we should be more focused on. I definitely think marijuana should be a giant thing just because when it comes to slowing down cancer cells, it's not a cure to cancer, but it slows it down at least at a radical rate. And then also other psychedelic drugs. I haven't tried any psychedelic drugs when it comes to psilocybin mushrooms or DMT or these types of things, but I've heard my cousins.
Wait, Joe Rogan talks about DMT.
Yeah, you would think I would have already tried it.
Lord.
But listen,
you see the alien meme?
Oh my God.
Have you tried DMT? And he goes, "From this universe or this galaxy?" And Joe Rogan's like, "Wow."
My cousin fucks with me so hard with that because he knows I listen to Joe Rogan a big one. He goes, "So how's that DMT?" Like, "Hey, you want to talk about DMT?" I'm like, "Shut up. Like, I get it. All right." Yeah. But the whole thing, he's tried salvia and all these types of things.
Yeah.
And he goes to say...
He thinks they're spiritual, so...
Well, I'm talking about my cousin. He goes and he tried carrot juice from the fridge. And he said before that carrot juice hit his tongue, he lived that whole life of the fucking carrot. From the bird shitting, hitting the ground, getting in the soil. And he explained this in a 30-minute tangent on my podcast. I was like, "You lived that fucking carrot's life." He's like, "I did." And then the juice went down my throat and it was amazing. And I'm like, if it can bring you to that, those little moments, some of that has to be very beneficial. I mean, how many times have peyote or these types of things been used in Native American culture to come to a group realization or a spiritual awakening? A lot of times, like, you ever seen, I don't have a big problem with, I'm not against religion, but when it comes to, like, I was on the boardwalk the other day and some Jehovah's Witnesses like, "Sir, you're going to hell because you don't believe in the God, the Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ." And I'm like, excuse me? Like, I'm a United Minister under the Church of Bacon, bro. Like, I got my ordained minister's license in Maryland courthouse. Like, that's what's up. Like, I paid $45 in an hour and a half of my life. Okay? And you're going to tell me that just because I don't believe in God or these types of things that I'm going to go to hell? Don't you think that's the wrong way of thinking it? I don't think the big man sitting on the golden throne is going to be pissed off if I decide to eat meat on Sunday. Like, I just, with these types of things, like, people that have these spiritual awakenings, like, for example, I was going back to saying Jehovah's Witnesses. They had 3 Jehovah's Witnesses on Facebook. You can look over YouTube, whatever. They had them sit down and try DMT or try LSD. Next thing you know, it's like they're doing a time span of a couple hours. They're starting to look at everything and starting to question things. They start questioning religion. Like, why are we doing this? And at the ending, they come to the realization, this is God. This is what life is. It's just living. It's just enjoying the moment. It's just having, I guess, an understanding of what's going on around you and not really looking at this giant Lord and Savior as your safeguard or this thing that's going to grant all your wishes. And if something doesn't happen the way you want it to happen, you can blame him for that. We're just looking, like you said, victim mentality. We're looking to pull the blame off on somebody else. And it's the one religious figure that everyone supposedly wants to cherish and praise all be. But you're willing to blame him or use his other side, I guess the devil. You want to blame the devil for all your misfortunes and everything like that. Like, why don't you just start looking at what's going on around you in the right moment and stop looking at things of this sort? And that's where drugs are seen as illegal. It's seen as the devil's lettuce. What the fuck is the devil's lettuce? I thought that was cabbage.
That makes up the substance of the sandwich.
What's the sandwich? It's the shit sandwich life, though.
Yeah, it's a sandwich life that they serve you.
Good God, man. Serving it up on a freaking tray, hot and ready to go. It's like,
you just gotta
it's that Applebea's plate. You know what I'm talking about?
You don't even get a napkin.
You know what I'm talking about? Applebee's plate? Or it comes by your face. It's sizzling hot, ready to serve that shit sandwich. I think it's fascination. Now I'm glad you kind of explained a little bit more Parkinson's because I've had family that suffers from it and I also don't understand fully what it is. But there's a lot of, definitely when it comes to mental health, marijuana has been known to help.
I think everything that causes a disease in this planet will probably have a cure on this planet. I think everything's here that we need. We just have to find it.
It's the same thing with technology. Every problem there is in the world, technology has solved it. It also created it in the first place. Yeah. So to think that for every disease we have, there's not a medical or a type of growth that the earth has created.
Yeah. I mean, come on. They find for random thought, a venom in a spider or a jellyfish that they find out helps fight this disease. Well, then we know that we haven't explored, 80% of the ocean or something? What's to say there's not 10 more species down there we find that have a venom or something that secretes another cure for another disease?
Well, they estimate that there's 6.5 million species still left undiscovered in the ocean. So
I want to know the guy who has the job that figures out that number.
Well, it's an estimated 9 million, I guess, total on the Earth that is left unsolved.
So it's a committee. It's a committee coming up with this number.
Yeah, it's like 2.2 million. Because they discover 1,000 species or over 1,000 species every single year. So they think that most of it's from the water because there's still 75% left of it that we have not discovered. Like there's a large amount.
Still, where do they get that number from? Those guys are the masters of bullshitting.
I want to know where the hell the lost city of Atlantis is. You got to think that philosopher Plato.
I think we're just looking in the wrong place.
The Japanese people found one. The Yanagunai Monument.
Say that 3 times fast.
I'm not going to even try. I don't even want to say
what is it again?
The Yanagunai Monument.
That should become the next fad online. The next challenge. That becomes everybody's safe word. And
don't start the Sally by the don't start the Sally by the seashore bullshit. No,
that Yanaguni. What is it? Say it.
Yanagunai Monument.
That becomes everybody's safe word, and you got to film yourself saying it. That's the new challenge online. Screw Area 51.
Or the ice cream challenge.
What's the ice cream challenge?
You never heard of that one? You've heard of it? They just take a scoop of ice cream and then put it back in a store.
Is that the one where they're licking it?
And you go.
Oh yeah, they're getting arrested for that. That's not safe.
They lock Tide Pods. You know how hard it was for me to do my damn laundry? I had to bring a freaking ID in. I'm like, are you serious? I need an ID to buy Tide Pods. Are you gonna eat them? If I was gonna fucking eat them, I'd just rip them off the shelf and eat them. Why would I go back to my car?
That's why they're licking the ice cream. We stopped them from eating the Tide Pods. We should have just let them do it.
Exactly. It would have killed off the dumb people.
Exactly.
Right?
These things run their course. Let them run,
The guy, people correct themselves. We have global genocide for a reason.
Yes, it's a correcting system constantly. Circle of life.
Exactly. You never see the new Lion King?
We're about to.
You guys are about to go see it?
Yeah, we're about to.
Apparently, a lot of people are in outcry because Scar was not gay enough. He was not flamboyant. And they didn't like how... See, the problem with...
I don't want to go down that road because I just have an issue with the whole pushing of the LGBT or gay community onto society. I mean, great.
What do you mean you have a giant problem with it?
Well, it's pushed on us.
I have to fight from this side because I've had a transgender on my podcast.
No. Well, I'm not. I don't like how it's pushed on us. It's always another thing.
You have to be open.
Well, I don't care about being open. I mean, I don't have no
like
issue with any of it.
Restroom? But
it's like, boom, oh yeah, all gender restrooms. Now you want a.
I like the all gender restroom.
It's on every TV show. It's in every movie. Now you want every movie character of a remade movie. You want them to be a gay character, or you want they're changing Bond to a female.
Well, the 2D animation of Lion King with Scar, he was all like, and like all flamboyant, more like it. And then now a lot of people are coming out saying Scar was not gay enough in the real one. I'm like, fucking animals. All of them are gay. I've seen a guy dog hump a guy dog, and I'm pretty sure 10 minutes later he was down the street banging the golden retriever that was down there. Okay? It was a little tiny chihuahua, so it was ridiculous. But the whole thing is, they don't see that type of thing. It's the same reason why people are like, oh, lions kill the crap out of gazelles. If a lion eats a gazelle and it's full, those gazelles will not run away from that lion anymore. He can walk right through the crowd because he's full. He doesn't need any more. He's satisfied, okay? They don't have the strict notions of, oh, that lion's gay, this lion's not. But people are freaking out about it because they feel like they're not being shown, or I guess... I don't know, displayed like, oh, they're not talking about gay people, so that means they're against gays. That's not a thing.
Yeah, that's the part I have an issue with. It's just being pushed on too much. Just that.
Now, I do like the all-gender restrooms, not when it comes to a guy and a girl being in the same bathroom at the same exact time. I do not like that. I'm talking about the ones that give you their own personal toilet, and it's a shut door and a lock.
Oh, the single person. You can only do that for a small establishment.
And it says all gender on the side, though.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool, though, because
that's a
then I don't
small
have to look for a male one and a female one.
Like a diner, they'll usually have like 2 of those. But if you go to like a major location, like a mall, you have to have for separate genders. Because there's no way I'm going to allow my daughter to go into a bathroom where a man is going to walk into shortly after, or a man dressed as a woman is going to walk into shortly after. Because if anyone touches my daughter in that bathroom, they aren't leaving.
You're coming from a father mentality.
Exactly.
Which is understandable.
That's called reason. Yeah. And you don't take risk with your child. What about if you take
the example for me, like I accidentally walked into a female bathroom and then I walked right out though. I wasn't actually in there.
That's the accident. That's a whole
I've done that
thing.
So many times. I'm like, I walk in and I see all the females everywhere just like looking at themselves in the mirror. Or there's a bunch of stalls. So I'm like, well, this is fucking weird. Hey, we're all in here together. And I just walk right out. Like, it's an accident though. Yeah. But you see something like that and then someone's going to get ridiculous notion like why like you in the bathroom with it's gonna misappropriate people that aren't transgender. You know what I mean? There's so many simple things going wrong. I think a lot of the times we're being way too sensitive. Why do we need separate bathrooms? Because we are different genders. That is a real thing. You can't be a guy one minute and a girl the next minute. There are people that do that. I've had a conversation with a guy that flipped his gender every 5 minutes, and I swear to God, I've never wanted to punch somebody in the face. Now, I've talked to a transgender person on my podcast, and I let them know, like, that's horse shit. That's not fair. The fact that we have all these acronyms now called Zim, Zer, Zer, Ziz, Zer, whatever the hell you want to call it, and a teacher can get fined and in trouble and lose their job teaching position because they do not appropriate a student's name by Ziz, Zirs, or Zars. What is that? When do we start using alien hieroglyphics and understanding if a person is a boy or a girl? Are you a Jeff or are you a Jessica? I don't know. How can I tell anymore? It's just, maybe the whole world needs to smoke some pot and understand that's a giant mental health issue. For real, dude. Seriously. That scares the shit out of me. You said you're afraid of the world coming to all these things with LGBT. Explain. Because I'm trying to fight from both sides here. I'm trying to understand it at the same time. Like, I'm willing to accept it if that's truly who you believe you are. But you can't tell me a 4-year-old child has already made the decision that they're going to be a whole nother gender. Like, are you sure? Or would you prefer to go bowling and maybe get an ice cream? That sounds like the better option.
Yeah.
Did I leave you speechless?
I've got nothing to say.
You've got a lot to say. You just told me you had a freaking war to say on LGBT, and then here we go. I understand your perspective, though.
I just don't like it being pushed. I just don't like the drag.
Yeah, I mean, it's not with
You
anything.
got the drag show.
I've never even heard of that.
The drag shows where they're reading the children, the drags.
Isn't that the same thing with the beauty pageants and all that shit? Like you're dressing up your 4-year-old.
Yeah,
and
doing the same thing. It's
that's
just, this is
disgusting.
grown men dressed up in drag, going to public libraries and reading the children. That's a little disturbing too. Not to mention they found numerous ones that were convicted pedophiles that were dressed out like this. That them trying to normalize pedophilia as a not a disease but another sexual orientation. These are my issues.
Pedophilia being another sexual orientation?
Yes, not a disease, not a crime. It's a sexual orientation. These are the things that LGBT certain members are pushing. And these are my issues with the LGBT, on top of the fact that it's just kind of pushed in our face nowadays. And my whole thing is great. You've picked a sexual orientation. A man's attracted to a man, a woman's attracted to a woman, or whatever you guys decide you are attracted to whatever you guys decide you are. That is nothing. That is not an accomplishment. I'm attracted to my fiance. She's attracted to me. That is not an accomplishment in our lives. It is just simply what's working out. We're going to be married. We have to keep moving on. We still have to work every day. And here you got the LGBT. Hey, we're attracted to the same sex. That's an accomplishment. No, it's not. It's just what you into. Good for you. Now, go do your life with your stuff.
Some people
don't bring it over here and keep telling us.
I like to bang with them off. I don't like that free motion.
My feet get cold.
Exactly. We have different preferences on things, and I think once we start labeling everything, is I don't know. When you open up too many doors, you got to figure out how the hell you're going to get out.
Is that the midget from Jackass?
Yes, that is Wee Man.
That's a little higher than his actual height, probably.
Yeah, it is. I met him. It was actually pretty cool. He does not like to be asked to kick himself in the head, though.
I would imagine.
Yeah, he's like, I do it too much, and I think I'm getting brain damage. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Maybe that's why you do all your stunts.
Yeah.
And get you dumb enough to go out there and do some things. I just, when we start misappropriating people, it gets a little bit sketchy. I do think that society, since it's being a little bit more sensitive, it's being a little bit more closed off on the real problems and more focused on other type of problems that aren't really problems, or just making them into giant problems, like giant parades and shit like that. Like, it's cool having a gay pride parade, having a gay pride month. That's awesome. They're talking about putting Harriet Tubman on the $100 bill. That's okay. I mean, I don't see what the problem is messing up with currency. Why don't we just make a new coin or something like that?
Well, what about the hypocrisy of it, though? Okay, you have a gay pride, but if someone throws a straight pride, now it's an issue. Why? It's just a pride that I'm attracted to the other sex.
Norm is being straight.
And there's nothing wrong with being a normal.
Yeah, it's not.
There's nothing. That's the thing, that we're going down one path, and
It's just like the same person that has the 50 armbands on their arm. You're like, why are you doing that? Like, because it's style. It's like, you just want someone to mention it so you look different.
Exactly. But here's my point. You're going down this path that's different. It's not the norm. And you want everybody else to be open to you. But when someone who's like, well, I prefer the normal, that's all. By all means, do what you're doing. I'm just not interested. Thank you. I'm going to go do this. Now you feel that they're oppressive or they're racist or they're bigot of some nature just because they don't agree with you the way you want them to agree. They just like the normal. They don't want to be a part of this. Do your thing, that's fine, but I'm not going to be involved. Now you have an issue with it. And that's the part that's the hypocrisy of it all. You have this side talking about being open, but they're not open to the normal people anymore. They're not open to what everyone has always deemed as normal. Now it's an issue. You're a Nazi. You're a Jew. And Jews become bad now. The Jew is now Nazi. He literally is. You're a bigot. You're a racist. You're a sexist. You're a xenophobe. You're whatever. You're some phobia over here. Just because you like the normal. And that's the issue that I have. It's like,
I think the problem is everyone's looking to push their views on somebody. I'd say, if you're gay, be gay. I don't care. Okay. Hell, dude, I can tell you a story. My grandma, she's a lesbian. And you know what? I didn't even know. I just found out like a year ago. She's like, Did you not know? I was like, no, nobody told me because it's not a thing.
Well, she wasn't always.
Obviously, but I mean, before I knew her, she was. You know, when my dad was in his 20s, she was. I just thought she had a bunch of cool ass roommates that they decided that they were going to sleep in this. I didn't even pay attention to the wedding photos.
She went to bingo one time and called bingo for real.
Exactly. I didn't even pay attention to the freaking window or the pictures that were all sitting all over the house of her married with her significant other. But I was completely oblivious to it. I'm like, I've been around it. She never pushed it out on anybody. She never tried to display it like over the. There's people that display their affection in a way that's like, now you're just doing it for show. Now you just want people to see this. Like, you're not trying to actually do it because you love each other. You're doing it because you want people to know that if they have a problem with it, they can mention it so you can bitch them out about it. I think the whole problem is someone's looking always to defend themselves. And we're acting as a victim mentality, like you were saying, a victim society, because we want to seem like the better option is to seem like you're attacked so you get more attention. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a problem. Like, if you're gay, be gay. If you are a different gender, be a different gender. But don't push it out on me, and don't hate me and criticize me and try and force me to understand you. It's like, I get it. You're like that. That's not me. I'm sorry. Don't try and change me. I do what I do. My name's Robbie for a reason.
Because I'm not forcing you to understand me.
Exactly. And I like that. I also wish you would look up at me when you go on these rants instead of staring at the table. I'm like,
I get into a zone, man. I just start running with my rant.
It's wonderful.
I can just zone with it. So, but yeah.
You know what? I mean, first of all, I just want to thank you for even coming out and doing the podcast. First of all, from talking about cannabis, Parkinsons, to talking about boxing, these other types of sorts, and then ending up with the LGBT, whatever you want to, QRSTV, XYZ.
There's only 26 letters, man.
Yeah.
Unless
Is there
it's
26?
Russian. 26 letters.
We're going to have to eliminate that, probably like 12.
I think Russian is like 28.
Dude, they have a symbol for a spider in the Ukraine. I don't even want to know what that word is. I podcasted with these people before, and I've talked to them, and they're like, yeah, our alphabet's pretty hard. It's just better to learn English.
Supposedly Mandarin's the easiest thing, but I don't see how. But they say that.
Because they just have oranges in their alphabet. That was the connection with Mandarin oranges. It's the first thing I think of. That and monkeys for some reason. Well, dude, like I said, I appreciate you coming down and doing the podcast, and at the same time, coming out on your birthday, too, because if I would have known it was your birthday before, I would be like, dude, you just want to schedule another night? Because
it's all right, man.
What are you guys planning on going to
We're going to go movies. We're going to go
Lion
to movies.
King?
Yeah.
I called it. I got Mufasa right there, man. What's his name? Steve Earl Jones?
Yeah. Also did Darth Vader.
See, the problem with freaking Lion King was that they're animals. They don't have eyebrows a lot, so you can't make emotion out of that unless it's in a cartoon. So that was everybody's problem with the movie. They all said that you couldn't tell a lot of the emotion that was supposed to be in that scene. They said the music and the effects were amazing, though. But I was like, yeah, but, you know, the reason why we eat cows is because they don't have eyebrows. So they don't. That's the only reason it's a farm animal. You can't kill a dog and eat it. At least not here. Maybe in another country. But it's because they have eyebrows. When they have human-like characteristics is where we draw the line. So that's why freaking cows are farm animals. If you watch that Lion King movie, let me know what you think about it with them trying to be able to sense out emotion, because apparently it was really hard. It was the same thing. They made Will Smith and the genie of Aladdin. They made him blue, and everybody came out like, what the hell is this shit? They had to go back and refinish it because they just rushed him. They just colored in all the scenes with him blue. They filmed it with him just normal color. Yeah, so there's a lot of controversy. I just think people are willing to bitch about anything. The same reason why they're worried about Cameron, what's his name? The guy that's creating the Avatar movies.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about there, right?
James Cameron.
Yeah, he spent I think it's 60-something million on the movie right now of the filming of the Avatar. People are like, that's too much money for a movie. I'm like, Johnny Depp has 36 houses. There's going to be Pirates of the Caribbean 26. So I don't, they're talking about taking him out. I'm like, no, he just bought another house. There's no way that's happening. I'm like, it's all the whole thing. Everyone's just looking to bitch about something. I'm just like, just stop. Why don't we just live? Be happy we're here. I mean, for God's sakes, I mean, I you know what I plan on doing later? Nothing. Someone going to bitch about it? Probably. Maybe my mom. I don't know. But at the same time, I'm willing to have fun with my life and enjoy what it is. And first of all, that's why I started podcasting. We all got thoughts. I want to see why you think that way. I want to see why, I told that Jehovah's Witness, I handed him my business card for my podcast. I was like, let's podcast. Let's see where somewhere along the line someone hurt you, and I want to know where. But that's just my idea, because I think if you're trying to tell someone they're going to hell, you got some issues going on in you. Something I want to get out of you.
One man's hell is another man's heaven.
Ooh, that's a good way to end it, too. Well, thanks, Josh, for being on my podcast, and hope to have you on again soon.